In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the process of building a simple table and the use of the Symmetry modifier to make building that table a little bit more productive. So I'm going to start with a box and I'm going to name it table. And I'm going to convert it to an editable poly. So we want to be able to put some legs on this table, and we can see that it's fairly easy if I just selecting extrude here and select and extrude here. We can see that we have now enough geometry to do a leg extrusion. This would mean that the table is upside down, but it's nice and simple to picture. So what I am going to do is I'm going to select the entire element and I'm going to move the whole thing up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the underside of the table and I'm going to do an extrude and I'm going to move it down. Now ideally I want this table leg to be on the ground plane, which I know is Z0. So this is my Z axis and I know that this should be a 0, and if I've made it a 0 it will mean that this is definitely flat on the ground. So I've made a quarter of my table, and what I really want to do is use some modifiers, specifically the Symmetry modifier, to make the rest of the table for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to untick polygon so that the Symmetry modifiers use the pivot of the object. And I'm going to just go in and I'm going into mesh editing and I'm going to go down to Symmetry and I'm going to add the Symmetry modifier, and you can see it's got rid of my leg that I built. So what I need to do is I need to flip it, and now what's happened is that the Symmetry modifier is building the other half of the table. That's great, that saves me a bit of time. So now all I need to do is to add another Symmetry modifier in the y-axis, and if I do that quickly you can see that that will build the y-axis side of the table. But obviously it's only mirroring once. So what I will do is I will just add myself another symmetry. So modifiers, mesh editing, symmetry, and I'm going to do a Y flip, and you can see that that has generated all the rest of the geometry for the table. What's nice about using the modifiers and the stack is the fact that I can go to edit to poly. If I want to see the results of the stack, I just toggle show end result, and this enables me to work in the edit poly, and you'll see that the geometry that I can play with will be highlighted. And in this case I can change the leg, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a ring connect. So I'm going to move this and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do another ring connect, but this time I'm going to scale this geometry and I can move it up. So I can add features to one part of the table. In other words, I can work on 1/4 of the table and I have Max work on the other 3/4 of the table. Of course, this is just a simple example, but there are many times when you at least need to benefit from having Max do the other half of a model, or as in this case do the other 3/4 of a model.